Hey, what's going on, team? It's Ricky with TechBud Solutions. Wanted to go live very quickly and talk about the top 5 stocks that our viewers see value in. So if you have any stock that you would like me to break down, please just feel free to share it in the live chat. This is our Sunday Stock Talk. I tend to host these every single Sunday right around 6:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. I live in Arizona, so just something to take into consideration. But yeah, anytime you want to tune on in, subscribe to the channel. Make sure that you partake in that live chat right around 6:30 p.m. And then let's go ahead and break it down. So one of the big questions that a lot of people are talking about is this recent move that we've seen with the NASDAQ market. So market's pulling on back. This is SPY, which is the S&P 500 ETF, which follows the NASDAQ market one for one. And then we got the NASDAQ ETF. So NASDAQ pulling a little bit further back, beginning to show signs of a support. The big thing that I'm paying attention to this week, so again, this is just my opinion, I'm going to be breaking down some stocks for all you that are tuning on in. So if you want me to break down your stock, just share it in the live chat. So to be able to write in the live chat, you do have to be subscribed. So that's all I literally ask you to do. But the thing that I want to share with you guys is that I'm waiting to see if market, based off of the sell-off that we saw on Thursday of last week, so the pullback that we saw right around the moving average, we're beginning to consolidate. I want to see one very simple thing. I'm focused on price action. So on this 30-minute time frame, it's clear as day. We've been holding above this moving average for quite some time. So I want to ask myself, okay, are we going to break above this moving average and begin to recover back to previous highs and continue to form higher highs and higher lows? So if you think that the market is going to continue to be bullish, then maybe this is something that you can take into consideration, right? Or if we think that the NASDAQ market and S&P 500 is overbought enough that it pulled on back and you think that it's going to break its support, then we can wait for confirmation. And then once it breaks below, 478, whatever the case might be for QQQ, and we begin to show signs of progress on the downside, then at that point, we could begin to be a little bit more active with shorting the market or going into SQQQ that goes up when the NASDAQ market goes down. So obviously we have some pullback potential, but it's, on the 30-minute time frame, it might be on the 1 hour time frame, it's a little bit more convincing that, oh yeah, market's going to pull on back. But that's not the case, right? Let's not get ahead of ourselves. We're still showing signs of a support. So my biggest thing that I want to share with you guys before we even start breaking down all of these stocks is NASDAQ and S&P 500 are both showing signs of, that's SPXS, are both showing signs of testing this support range. The thing that I want to focus on is, are we going to begin to show progress of recovery or progress that we broke that support and actively begin to sell off? And that will tell me, it's not rocket science, right? So if S&P 500 and NASDAQ market breaks support, if they begin to actively sell off, all of your big tech companies will also sell off. If these big tech or big NASDAQ and S&P 500 ETFs begin to recover, then again, most likely your big tech companies will also begin to recover. So I just think it's very important to understand the correlation between the two. NASDAQ is made up of really tech companies, and it's NASDAQ 100, right? So it's 100 of some of the most influential tech companies out there. When it comes to the S&P 500, when it comes down to that, that's the basket of the top 500 most valuable companies that meet a specific type of criteria. NVDA, Apple, Amazon, Google, Tesla, those are all that fall under pretty much both categories of the S&P 500 and the NASDAQ. It's a little bit more conservative to focus on S&P 500. It's a little bit more volatile when you focus on NASDAQ because NASDAQ has more exposure to tech. It tends to yield a greater return, but also comes at a greater form of risk. So I just want to make sure that you are aware of that. So let's go ahead and break it down. So I just want to make sure that I introduce that is what I'm paying attention to this week. So if you tune on into my live trading sessions tomorrow at Market Open and you ever ask the question of, what's my focus for this week? Do I want to tune on into his live trading sessions? That's going to be my focus. Price action if NASDAQ market is beginning to recover, or if it's going to continue to sell off. Okay. And if you ever want to tune on into my live trading sessions, it's the second link in the description of this video. So I see a lot of people are asking me for NVIDIA and for Hood. And again, if you want me to break down your stock, share it in that live chat and make sure you drop a thumbs up. I'm going to start off with Hood. So Hood is one that I was paying a lot of attention to. It's one that I've been waiting for signs of a pullback. And it was showing a little bit more signs of a pullback as crypto began to pull on back. And I want to remind you, right? Coinbase and Robinhood both began to perform exceptionally well when crypto began to do very well. I want to remind you that Hood came from lows of $6.81 and it pushed all the way back to highs of $24. So as of right now, Hood is still quite bullish. We have to give credit where it's due. It's forming a lot of higher highs and higher lows. It's not an active sell-off. So this would not make sense for me to want to short as of right now. But trust me, I would consider shorting it if on the 4-hour time frame it begins to trade below the moving average and begin to show signs of downside. There's been many times, especially if crypto begins to sell off, there's been many times that Robinhood does not perform well, and that's something that we saw from 2021 to 2022. So just something to take into consideration, right? As of right now, I have to respect the trend, right? I've used this analogy before where with my LPP team, I don't know if you've ever had a day that just comes a little bit easier. You either work with the market, right? You dance with the market, or you step on the market's toes when you're not trying to dance with it. And the best way that I could explain that is it's the analogy of going with the trend of the market or going against it. As of right now, the overall trend of the market is extremely bullish on those larger time frames, higher highs and higher lows. But if we begin to show signs of progress of some selling pressure and break of supports, that can completely change, and then that can create a wave of selling pressure. What do you think is going to happen if all the people that bought up here begin to see that this thing begins to sell off and breaks below $20? Then there's going to be a wave of selling pressure, a big gap down. But we're not there yet, right? Again, when it comes down to these trades, it's so much more about the timing itself and not focus so much on, well, I think it needs to crash right now. It doesn't need to do anything. And let's remind ourselves of that. I've done it many times where I want something to happen and I hope something to happen, but it never actually does, right? You can create a plan of action, but that doesn't mean that you should be taking a trade hoping for it to happen. It's like all the people that have been waiting for this GameStop squeeze since 2021. Well, if you didn't lock in profits at any point, most likely all those GameStop people are still in the red unless they aggressively dollar cost average down, right? And that's the unfortunate part is they're hoping for something to happen that hasn't presented itself, or it has, but they didn't lock in profits because it's going to the moon, supposedly, right? Let's go ahead and move on to the next one. The next one is going to be NVIDIA. And again, I'm only going to be breaking down 5 stocks, so feel free to share it in the live chat. NVIDIA, although a lot of you guys know that I love shorting these stocks as they're extremely overbought. You guys know that I love shorting, right? Especially as markets are overbought. Let me ask for all of our LPP members that are here, would I ever short NVIDIA? I've talked about it before to them within our live trading sessions. So do I openly say I want to short NVIDIA? The very simple answer would be no. And you might be surprised, well, Ricky, if you think NVIDIA is extremely overbought, why wouldn't you want to short it? NVIDIA is it's a nasty company. It's like one of the biggest, it's the biggest company based off of market cap valuation. I think it outperformed Microsoft and Apple. I'll have to double check, but it's one of the top 3. And NVIDIA really is scratching the surface in AI. So although I do believe it's overbought, I would love to buy some NVIDIA. I don't want to buy NVIDIA when it's trading at these overbought levels. I want NVIDIA to pull on back to lows of $80, maybe $70, and I would love to load up there. But I have to respect how bullish it is. I have to respect the trend. I don't want to short this. I don't care to catch every move that this stock makes. I respect the company enough that I just want the deal to present itself. And when it does, I would love to add it to my long-term portfolio. That's the way that I see this. If you believe that NVIDIA is still a good deal at the current price level, I wish you nothing but the best. All I'm saying is I think that there's more downside potential than there is for upside risk based off of this current rally. Not big picture, but current rally. And the reason I say this is because every single time, there's not one time that this hasn't happened. Anytime that a stock aggressively begins to skyrocket, it aggressively corrects itself. And that's all I'm waiting for. Some people might think that it's completely impossible, right? Because it seems impossible right now with NVIDIA. Let's be honest. NVIDIA does seem like it's an extremely bullish company. It's nothing but good news. It continues to outperform market expectation. But we've seen it time and time again where there's a lot of companies that are like this. And then all of a sudden it's bad news after bad news after bad news. And then expectation and guidance begins to get lowered. And then it comes back to, earth, right? And then it corrects itself. Any reaction can be an overreaction, and then that can end up correcting itself. So that's what I'm waiting for. Just because I'm waiting for that does not mean that you need to. I'm expressing that I would love to buy NVIDIA, but I would love to buy NVIDIA when I view it to be a good deal, not just at nearly all-time highs because everyone else is buying NVIDIA. When everyone else is talking about NVIDIA, about how good it is, I'm buying at $130, $140 per share. I wish you the best. But for me, I don't like to overpay. And I'm patient enough that, even if I end up buying it at $100 or $95, it doesn't have to be at the lowest price point. It just has to make sense to me. I want to make sure that the risk to reward ratio will make sense. And that's why I'm choosing to wait. So it's less about not liking the company and more about I appreciate it so much that I just want the deal to present itself. You said the same thing about NVIDIA at $250. Never. We never even talked about NVIDIA at $250 per share. So I don't even know what you're talking about. I don't know if you hit your head this morning, but you might want to get that checked out. So, all right, let's go ahead and move on to the next one. MU. All right, here we go. MU, which is Micron Technologies. So on the day chart, extremely bullish, a very aggressive rally, right? Higher highs, higher lows. When it hit highs of $157 per share, it saw a pretty aggressive pullback. All right. So I like how much it has pulled back already. I love trading reversals. For those that are a little bit newer to my channel, that's my main focus. That's kind of like the edge that I like to focus on. I love trading reversals. I like focusing on stocks that are bullish. I love shorting reversals. So if something is overbought and it's beginning to show signs of resistance and I see some pullback potential, then I would love to short it. I would have loved to short it then. Now it pulled back enough that it's testing support. So this makes complete sense on why you're paying attention to it if it shows confirmation of a reversal. So I would love to plug this into my risk to reward ratio calculator, see, hey, if I have an entry at 144, an exit at 156, and a stop loss at 138, what does my risk to reward ratio look like, right? And that's exactly what we have pulled up over here. I don't know if you guys have ever used this before. We provide it for you guys for free. It's our risk to reward ratio calculator, and it's free and available to all of you guys. You guys can download it on techbutsolutions.com. Which should be linked. I actually don't know if it's linked down below, but you go under trading tools. So under trading tools, we have the risk to reward ratio calculator. You can download it for Apple or just PC devices. But the really cool thing about that is you can plan out your entire trade. So I'd be happy. Let's go ahead and break it down. So we have MU, which is Micron Technologies. Let's say that I'm going to make this a lot smaller, right? Shoot. All right, let's pull it here. So my desired entry for something like, if I were to trade something like Micron, my average purchase price would probably be, I can buy a little bit here and then add more really when it gets closer to that EMA for that confirmation of that reversal, which would be right around 140. Let's just do 145. So let's say my overall entry on average, because I'm going to average up into that position, would be 145. My desired exit would be 156. 156, which is close to the previous all-time highs or previous highs that we have based off of recent patterns. My stop loss would be a little bit below that moving average because that would be a break of pattern. So I could put like 138.50. So 138.50, because remember, it's not that I'm buying it right now. It's that I'm going to be buying it when it's up here. So giving it some wiggle room for it to pull on back, but hold above that EMA. Because as this thing begins to recover, this EMA, this moving average should begin to pick back up. So just something to take into consideration. So this means that my risk to reward ratio should be something like 1.69, not very good. Excuse me. Dang, I didn't mean to do that. And then my position size, that's something that you get to choose. So let's say that if it's 150, we're talking about $21,000. $21,000 would yield potentially $1,600 in return or $975 of a potential loss. I don't know if I like that risk to reward ratio. So then you kind of just ask yourself before you even take the trade, hey, is this attractive enough where I want to take it? I don't know if this is enough of an edge that, if your success rate is relatively low, then this is possibly not something that you want to take. But obviously, Micron has been extremely bullish. So therefore, maybe it's something that you feel a little bit more confident with. Also, if you look at it on the 4-hour time frame, you could see that there's pullback potential down to the moving average. So maybe we might want to wait for this thing to get down here, because now from 128 all the way to 156, that would yield a much greater return. So at that point, my average purchase price would be more. Instead of 128, I can put 130. My exit at that, and my stop loss would be 125. So therefore, my risk to reward is now a 5.20. I think that's actually a great example of like, hey, maybe I don't want to buy here because the risk to reward is too low. But if it continues to sell off and the deal presents itself, then at that point, the risk to reward becomes more favorable, 5.21. So what that means is it offers 5.2% for every 1% of potential loss. So then at that point, it becomes much more attractive. And you guys might be saying, well, Ricky, what if it doesn't pull on back here? Well, then at that point, it wasn't a trade worth taking. It wasn't worth it based off of the risk that it offered. And that just means that you have to wait for that deal to present itself. So yeah, just something to take into consideration. All right, let's go ahead and move on to the next one. What else are we doing? DJT. This isn't going to count as one of the 5 just because DJT is it's a super shitty stock. I mean, let's say it as what it is. It's aggressively selling off. It's testing previous lows. Could a reversal begin to form? Sure. This thing is all based off of news and based off of Trump's position to win the election. That's all it is. So when hype is present, this thing gets hyped up. When it's not present, it sells off. It's kind of, again, just a much smaller version of the glorified GameStop, right? As of right now, it is a little bit more on the oversold side, but we're not indicating signs of a recovery. So because of that, I would see there to be no reason to buy it because there is no indication of this thing recovering. This thing can continue to sell off, although it did hit lows of 22. This time it could go to 16, right? There is no bottom. This thing can continue to sell off. The cheap can always get cheaper. Again, instead of you hoping for something to happen, let's set alerts and just wait for it to actually happen. That'd be a great way to be able to approach these high risk reversals. So Ricky, we all know that Ricky is voting for Biden, which is, for you to even say that is crazy because I feel like people on Instagram think that I'm so pro-Trump because a lot of my reels, but I upload them here on YouTube as well. But I feel like you guys hear me talk crap more about DJT. I think we can all agree. I think both of them are idiots. I think Biden's an idiot. I think Trump is very outlandish in the way that he speaks and how he divides the country. But I think Biden is a complete idiot. I think he's way too old to be even in the position that he's in. And I think people just need to accept that. Nonetheless, it's my political opinion of who I choose to vote for. I will never try to convince you that you guys need to do the same thing. I can't speak for you, but for myself, I don't let my politics define me as a person. I think that's very sad. And let's be honest, if it's Biden or if it's Trump, it's probably not going to affect your life too much. You're not that important. I'm not that important. So our job as Americans are to vote for who we think would be best for our country and best for our needs. And that's it. I don't care who you vote for. If you vote for Biden, if you make up your own political campaign and you vote for them, I don't care if that's your right. I do not care. If you're so invested about what other people think and all that stuff about, people are idiots. Like, we all know that. We've seen it from both sides. So I think that's the biggest thing is anytime that I speak about one side or the other, it's always, that's the part that baffles me, is I've talked crap about Biden. I've talked crap about Trump. I've talked crap about both of them. But at the end of it, it's because I don't care to be like, hey, I'm pro-Trump or I'm pro-Biden. Like, you guys shouldn't care. I'm not here to convince you. I'm not going to be here like other influencers that are going to try to convince their following that you should do. I truly do believe that you should do and vote for whoever you think is best for the country and for yourself, and maybe for those that you love. I don't, that's selfish, sure, but that's your role as an American. That's fine. I truly do not care. I hope that you know that, and I hope that you respect my decision of whoever I choose to vote for. At the end of the day, it's my right. I can choose to vote for whoever it is that I want. And I mean that in the most respectful way. I truly do not care about your opinion, as you shouldn't care for mine, because at the end of it, our lives, they might be affected a little bit more by who's in power, but not too much. So it shouldn't matter too much. All right, let's go ahead and break down two more. Have we broken down GME yet? I'll break that one down. I feel like that's a relevant one as we're at a very critical point. You know, the only thing that I love talking more shit on than Trump and Biden is GameStop. We all know that. Can I get an opinion about from you guys? What do you guys think about GameStop? Is it a buy? Is it a sell? Or, I know this is a crazy thought, but my LPP team should understand it. Or is it a wait? Buy, sell, or wait? What do you guys think? I guess I shouldn't say sell. I should say more of short. Is this something you want to go long on? Is this something that you want to go short on? Or do we want to wait? It's too risky right now that we want to wait. What do you guys think? Okay. Yeah. So the biggest thing that I want to say about GameStop is I'm definitely in the wait position, right? Like that's what I want to preach and express within my channel. I've always been very open that from the beginning, I will go long on it or I will go short on it. I'm not here to pretend to be part of your movement and on the back end be trading this and not telling my audience. My LPP team gets to see me trade this all the time, right? I'm very open about it. I've been very open about it since 2021. My thing is, I just want it to make sense. I have to agree. It is oversold enough, it is cheap enough, and it's showing signs of testing its support that if any tweet comes out, if anything is shared by GameStop, if anything is shared by Roaring Kitty that could influence or intrigue more people, this thing could skyrocket, right? Just like any of the last times. Any other time that GameStop has skyrocketed, this time, and this time, were all because something was said by either the company or Roaring Kitty. Let's not pretend. It is a glorified pump and dump. That is exactly what it is. When it's all based off of not fundamentals, but based off of a catalyst that's short-lived. So that's what I'm looking for. I'm waiting for that catalyst to present itself. That's why I'm saying I would wait. But it's oversold enough, it's cheap enough that I would find it more attractive to go go long on it than to go short. Unless, of course, it breaks its support of $23 and then it just goes on a free fall. At that point, I will short the shit out of GameStop. My apologies. I didn't mean to speak like that on a public live stream. But I'm open with you guys, right? So if it breaks that $23, $22 support, I will short GameStop. If it continues to hold up here, and or begins to indicate signs of a recovery because of news or some form of catalyst, then I have a reason to go long for a short period of time. I will lock in profits within that day. I do not think GameStop is a stock worth holding. I do not think GameStop is a stock worth investing in. I think it's a crap company that simply bought itself time because of this whole pump and dump that the company itself was able to lock in enough profits, enough cash to be able to buy down its debt and buy itself time. It's still the same company that is burning through cash quarter over quarter and burning cash. So all it's doing is buying itself time. Nonetheless, that's my opinion about GameStop. So do not short. I will short the crap out of it, but only if it actually breaks its support. Again, I do not care. I don't care about your opinion about what you think about GameStop. Just like, again, if you think it's the best company in the world and you think it's going to make you a gajillion dollars, I wish you nothing but the best, right? For me, all I focus on is direction. If it begins to indicate signs of recovery, I'll go long. If it begins to break its support, I'll go short. Okay? Let me do one more stock. I want to break down one more stock. I'll do two more. Drop a thumbs up and share your top stock in that live chat. I would love to break it down for you. Kava. Let's see. Okay, so I like that you're focused on something that looks bullish. It's very, very bullish, so direction is in your favor. I like that. So I went from $29 to highs of 97. So overall, big picture, you know that it's not a cheap stock, but it did recently pull on back from making new highs, and it tends to test its support. So anytime that it pulls on back, it tends to recover because it's so incredibly bullish. So I see why you're paying attention to it. I just don't know if the risk to reward or the profit potential. Oh, actually, 7% is pretty attractive. Okay, I would definitely plug this into my risk to reward ratio calculator and see if it's something that would meet my criteria. But yeah, anything that's close to the moving average, like from $90 to be able to sell at 97, I can definitely see that to be a trade. It offers 5 to 7% potential for profit, and I think that's a great return with a very bullish stock that has an overall great uptrend. Now again, patterns tend to repeat themselves. They don't always have to. If it breaks that support and begins to actively sell off, that's a break of pattern, and that's why you plug in where you plan to cut losses to make sure that you hold yourself accountable, right? So remember, if you guys don't have this, our risk calculator, we provide it for you for free on techbudsolutions.com. It's right here, risk ratio, risk calculator. You guys can feel free to break it down there, or just message me on Instagram, risk, and I'll send it to you within our messages. And friendly reminder, I only have one Instagram and I only have one Discord. There's a bunch of fake accounts out there that will pretend to be me or that someone that's part of my team, and they'll ask you for money. I never ask for money. I never trade for other people. The only service that I offer, it's one, and it's just to watch me trade live. It's not for you to copy. It's not for you to put money into. It's a live trading session. So, and it's the second link in the description down below. Been very open about that. So please do not fall for those fake accounts that pretend to be someone that's part of my team. I promise you, no one that's part of my team is ever reaching out to you. Can we get a Tesla breakdown? The Tesla's not going to be one of the stocks. I'm going to break down another stock very quickly. Tesla is holding above the moving average. But if NASDAQ market begins to sell off, get ready for Tesla to take a dump, right? So things are looking better for Tesla. It's holding its support. It's holding above the moving average. I just hope that it could hold and break above $200. But the more that it struggles to break above this, the more likely it's going to get rejected and sell right back off to $150 per share. So that's my 2 cents on that. All right, last one. So you only go live for 30 minutes and then end the live stream, really take a trade. I traded all of last week and I went live. LPP team, feel free to share. There was, I think, 2 or 3 live streams last week that I went live for about an hour and a half to nearly 2 hours. But again, if you don't want to tune on in, you definitely do not have to. If you're salty, I don't even know why you're here. I promise you, if you don't tune on in, I won't even notice that you're here. I promise you. I know it's hard to believe, but I can promise you that if you don't want to be here, don't be here, right? That's the beautiful thing about being an adult, is that you get to choose to do with what you want with your time. Ulta. Okay, I actually want to break down Ulta because this is a pretty wild one. This one was actually brought up during my live trading session with the LPP team. But so it might not look like something very much because, it's kind of wild. It's all over the place. When you look at this on the 1 hour time frame, you're like, this is extremely bearish. Why would I ever want to even pay attention to this? Why would I ever want to watch this? A very simple question. Is Ulta a good buy right now? And my simple answer, it would be no, it's not. It's too bearish. It's been too bearish for too long. It's been selling off since March of 2024. And it's been lower highs, lower lows. With that being said, this is why time frames are so important. Time frames give you different perspectives. It's testing the same support here. And like I told you, I love trading reversals. So this is what I really like to focus on. It's testing the same support. For those that are like me, you could see that. No, it doesn't mean that you have to buy it, but it makes sense on maybe why to watch it. You guys see my alerts here? I have 2 alerts, one for the break of support, one for the break above this descending EMA. So if this thing begins to actively recover, then at that point, why wouldn't I potentially want to go long on something that offers, based off of previous resistance and previous resistance, that offers nearly a 40% return, right? I don't have to buy it at the lowest price point. I don't have to buy it now. I can wait for confirmation and wait for proper price action to take action when it makes sense. And that's why I love trading reversals, not because I get to buy them at the lowest price, but I still get to buy them for a good deal that yield a really good return. And again, I would still plug this into my risk calculator to make sure, my entire trade plan is properly set up. So definitely something that I would add to my watch list, and I actually added it myself. So I appreciate you asking for me to break down Ulta. You guys let me know down in the comment section which one was your favorite. But again, I do trade live every single morning. I trade live for about 30 minutes to about 2 hours, Monday through Friday. I don't trade live just once a week. I trade live every single day. And during that live, I get to answer questions. If you're someone that learns best by watching other people do, just like I do, then I think that you would really enjoy those sessions. If I take a trade, my buys and my sells, you get to see it all live. So if I actively trade GameStop, or if I trade Ulta, or if I trade NASDAQ, you get to see my entries and my exits. And if this is something that you want to experience, again, it's not once a week, it's not once a month, it's live Monday through Friday. I would love to invite you. It's the second link in the description down below, and it's 50% off right now. So you can feel free to sign up today and watch me trade live as soon as tomorrow. Also, if you can't watch it right at market open and you can't tune on in live, we provide it for you at your own convenience. You can watch any previous live stream from the past 3 to 4 years. I forgot how long it's been, but you can watch all those previous live streams as well. You can watch them at your own convenience when you get back and when you're available. So again, second link in the description down below. You can sign up today and watch me trade live as soon as tomorrow. I appreciate your time. I hope that earned your thumbs up. Please consider subscribing. And like always, let's make sure that we end the year on a green note. Take